My wife lied about being pregnant. To trap me, so I waited for the truth to unfold, then vanished, leaving her facing everything alone. I'm a 28-year-old guy, and I thought I had my life figured out. For 2 years, I dated Amelia, a woman who seemed to breathe life into every room she walked into. She was charming in that effortless, magnetic way, always laughing, always pulling me into spontaneous adventures. Weekend road trips, midnight taco runs, dance-offs in the kitchen. She made life feel cinematic. So when I proposed, it felt like the natural ending to a love story I thought I'd finally earned. But looking back, it wasn't an ending. It was the beginning of something I wasn't ready for. The idea of starting a family came up within the first 6 months of dating. "Can't wait to see our babies," she'd giggle, tracing little circles on my chest. At first it was cute, flattering even, but it never slowed down. When I'd mention saving up, she'd say, "You can't plan love, babe." When I wanted time to build my career before marriage, she said, "We're already perfect. What are you waiting for?" Everyone around us seemed thrilled. My mom adored her. My friends said I was lucky. But there were quiet moments, like when my older brother, a guy who rarely got involved, pulled me aside and said, "She moves fast, man. Just make sure you're not being rushed." I wish I'd listened more carefully. Still, I went ahead with the engagement. I told myself passion was supposed to feel overwhelming, that maybe I was just scared because I'd never felt something this intense before. Our wedding was small, intimate. She cried the whole ceremony. I did too. But that night, when we got to the hotel suite, something shifted. We were alone. No cameras, no guests, just silence between us. She stared at herself in the mirror longer than usual, smiled in a way I didn't recognize. And for the first time, I felt something I couldn't explain, a flicker of unease in my gut. I brushed it off, but I should have paid attention to that feeling, because it was only just beginning. A week after our honeymoon, I came home from work to find Amelia curled up on the couch in sweatpants, scrolling on her phone. "Hey, babe," she said without looking up. "I quit my job today, just like that. No warning, no conversation." I stood there in the doorway, frozen. Wait, what? Why? She smiled like it was the most casual thing in the world. It was stressing me out. And besides, she turned, locking eyes with me, her voice suddenly soft. "I'm pregnant." My brain couldn't process both things at once. Quit job, pregnant, quit job, pregnant. I sat down slowly. "Are you sure?" She nodded, eyes wide with emotion. "I took 3 tests this morning. I wanted to tell you in a special way, but I couldn't hold it in." Her voice cracked. She looked so genuinely overwhelmed. I hugged her and said all the right things. "Congratulations. We'll figure it out. I'm here," but underneath all that, something felt off. She hadn't said a word about feeling sick or late or anything, and she'd never been the type to keep things quiet, especially not something this huge. Still, I tried to believe her. I told myself it made sense. Maybe this was why she'd been so emotional lately. Why she'd been acting a little erratic. Maybe hormones were already kicking in. She started planning immediately. Baby names, nursery themes. She ordered maternity vitamins online that same night. We hadn't even seen a doctor yet. I didn't say anything. I didn't want to ruin the moment. But that quiet flicker of unease from our wedding night? It grew a little louder. I started shifting my schedule at work, taking on extra hours to prepare financially. Looked at bigger apartments. Reworked our budget. But part of me couldn't stop replaying that moment in my head. Her smile when she said she was pregnant. It felt rehearsed, and I couldn't figure out why. The following weeks blurred together in a strange mix of excitement and quiet confusion. Amelia was radiant, posting about our new chapter on social media, daydreaming about nursery colors, baby showers, and family names. Everyone congratulated us. My mom called crying with joy. Her friends sent baby gift ideas. On the outside, it looked perfect. But behind closed doors, something didn't add up. Every time I asked about her first appointment, she brushed it off. "They're booked solid this week," she'd say. Or, "It's too early, babe. They can't do much yet." At first, I believed her. I even offered to take time off to go with her. She'd always respond with a laugh, "You don't need to. I'll just text you after, okay?" Except that text never came. I started noticing smaller things too. She didn't change her eating habits. No morning sickness. No fatigue. No cravings. Just business as usual. When I'd mention prenatal vitamins, she'd nod and say she'd taken them. But the bottle in the bathroom barely moved. One night, after another vague excuse about a rescheduled appointment, I asked softly, "Amelia, can I see the test?" She froze mid-step. Then she turned, eyes sharp. "What, you don't trust me?" "It's not that," I said carefully. "I just want to feel connected. That's all." Her expression hardened. "You're unbelievable. I tell you I'm carrying your child, and your first instinct is to question me." I didn't argue. I just apologized, even though something inside me twisted tight. Later that night, while she showered, I checked the trash bin. Nothing. No wrappers. No test boxes. Nothing at all. That's when I realized. There was no proof. Just her words. I told myself maybe I was overthinking. Maybe she just wanted privacy. But deep down, something darker was whispering to me. If she could lie about something this small, what else was she capable of? 2 days later, we got into a small argument. Nothing major. I'd forgotten to pick up almond milk. She snapped harder than usual, calling me useless and emotionally absent. I stood there, stunned. "Amelia, it's milk. What's going on with you lately?" Her eyes welled up instantly, like flipping a switch. "You don't get it. You've never supported me through this. I'm growing a human and you're worried about groceries." I took a breath. My voice stayed calm. "That's not what I'm saying. I'm worried. You won't let me come to the doctor. You won't show me a test. Amelia, I need you to be honest with me. Are you really pregnant?" The room went dead silent. She stared at me like I'd slapped her. Then the tears came. Loud, messy sobs as she dropped onto the couch, burying her face in her hands. "You think I'd lie about something like that?" she choked out. "You think I'm that kind of person?" "I don't know," I whispered. "I don't want to think that. But you won't give me anything to hold on to." She looked up, eyes red, and suddenly her voice sharpened. "This is emotional abuse. You're gaslighting me, making me feel crazy for telling you something real." That word, abuse, hit me like a truck. I wasn't yelling. I wasn't accusing. I was asking for honesty. Before I could speak, she grabbed her keys and stormed out, slamming the door behind her. 2 hours later, I got a text from her mom. "What the hell is wrong with you? Amelia is at our house crying her eyes out. She's pregnant and you're interrogating her." And just like that, I was the villain. I stared at the phone, numb. She had flipped the entire narrative with a few tears and one phone call. And in that moment, I realized this wasn't about a baby. This was about control. A week later, Amelia returned like nothing happened. No apology. No explanation. Just a smile, a kiss on the cheek, and a casual, "I made us pasta tonight." I played along. I was too exhausted to fight anymore. I'd started walking on eggshells in my own home, careful with every word, every tone. But inside, I was unraveling. So when she mentioned casually, "I have a checkup next Tuesday, but it's just a routine thing. You don't need to come," I smiled and said, "Actually, I already cleared my schedule. I'd love to be there." Her fork paused halfway to her mouth. "It's really early, babe. There might not be much to see. I don't care. I just want to support you." Her face tightened, but she nodded slowly. "Okay." The day of the appointment, I drove us in silence. She fiddled with her phone the entire ride. When we arrived at the clinic, she hesitated getting out. "I'm just going to run in and check us in." "You can wait here." I didn't move. "I'll come in with you." She stiffened. I said I'll just check us in. That's when the nurse walked out. "Amelia Green?" The blood drained from her face. She turned to me, then back to the nurse. "Actually, I'm not feeling well. I think I need to reschedule." The nurse looked confused. "Ma'am, you confirmed this morning." Amelia mumbled something and practically bolted for the car. I followed her silently, watching as she fumbled with the keys, her hands shaking. At home, I didn't say a word. I just sat on the edge of the bed. She hovered near the door, eyes glassy. Maybe I made a mistake. I thought I was pregnant. I guess I was wrong. Her voice was flat, too calm, too rehearsed, and in that moment everything inside me went cold. She had lied. Not just to me, but to everyone. And I wasn't going to confront her. I was going to disappear. But not yet. The next morning, Amelia acted like nothing had happened. She brought me coffee in bed, played music while making breakfast, even wore that yellow sundress she knew I loved. I watched her from across the kitchen, wondering how someone could lie so effortlessly and still smile like that. She leaned over, kissed my cheek, and whispered, "We should take a weekend trip." "Just us, clear our heads," I smiled back. Sounds good, but something had shifted. Her energy was desperate, like she knew she'd pushed too far and now had to reel me back in. That week, she flooded social media with stories about pregnancy cravings and early kicks. Her friends commented with hearts and baby emojis. She tagged me in every post. She's doubling down, I thought. Not only was she still pretending, she was performing. Every time I walked past her phone, she was editing Instagram captions or texting someone with long paragraphs. But when I got close, she'd flip the screen face down. Then came the nesting. She started decorating a fake nursery in our spare room, ordered a crib, painted the walls a soft mint green, even printed out ultrasound photos from the internet. That one almost broke me. I stared at the blurry, obviously fake image taped to our fridge and asked gently, "Did the doctor give you this?" She lit up. "Yup." She emailed it to me. "Isn't it perfect?" I nodded. "It's beautiful." And that was the moment I knew. She wasn't going to admit it. Not ever. She had built her entire identity around this lie. So I played along. Every fake post she made, I saved. Every receipt, every online order, every message, archived. I started smiling more, laughing more, holding her close. She thought I was falling back in love, but I was only giving her more rope. And when the time came, she'd hang herself with it. By this point, I had stopped hoping she'd tell the truth. Instead, I started building my escape. Every night while she slept, I'd sit on the bathroom floor with my laptop, carefully screenshotting messages, printing bank statements, documenting every lie she posted publicly. I created a private folder titled Insurance. It wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about survival. She'd drained our savings on baby stuff we didn't need. I found receipts for $900 diaper bags, designer onesies, even a $300 bassinet she bragged about to her friends. And the worst part? People kept sending her money. Gifts through Venmo for the expecting mama. One evening, I watched her fake a phone call to her sister. She put it on speaker, sniffled, and said, "The nausea's been so bad. But I'm trying to stay strong for the baby." There was no one on the line. The screen was black. I stayed silent. I'd learned to stop reacting. Behind the scenes, I was methodical. I met with a lawyer during lunch breaks, explained everything. Showed her screenshots, texts, photos. The lawyer leaned back and sighed. "You need to protect your assets." Now, I followed her instructions to the letter. Transferred my direct deposit to a separate account. Took my name off joint cards. Reclaimed titles to anything in my name. Slowly, quietly, I peeled myself out of our shared life. I also started therapy. Not because I felt broken, but because I needed a paper trail. Emotional distress, manipulation, gaslighting, everything documented. Meanwhile, Amelia ramped up the performance. She posted a fake bump photo, her shirt bunched with a pillow underneath. Her caption read, 19 weeks today. Feeling so blessed, the comments poured in. "You're glowing. He's going to be such a great dad. We love you, Amelia." I stared at that post for a long time, not out of rage, out of pity. Because she was too deep in, the lie to crawl out, and I was almost ready to vanish. It happened on a quiet Sunday morning, just when I thought things couldn't spiral any further. Was making coffee when Amelia came out of the bedroom, pale-faced and shaking. Her eyes were red, lips trembling. She clutched her stomach with one hand and held up her phone with the other. I lost it," she whispered. My body froze. I stared at her, unsure whether to feel grief or rage. She collapsed onto the couch, wailing. There was blood. I didn't know what to do. I was so scared. I didn't want to wake you." I sat beside her in silence, letting her sob into my shoulder. Her body trembled like she was barely holding herself together. But my mind wasn't with her anymore. It was racing. No hospital call. No emergency room visit. No stained sheets. Nothing. And then she held up the phone to show me a blurry image, an old photo of a positive pregnancy test she found online. "This is what it looked like," she said between sobs. I just nodded, gently rubbing her back. "I'm so sorry, Amelia," she cried harder. Said she needed space, that she was going to stay at her mom's for a few days to heal. I told her I understood, and the moment the door closed behind her, I collapsed into a chair and exhaled for what felt like the first time in months. That was her final card. She had staged a miscarriage to cover the unraveling of a pregnancy that never existed. It was so cruel, so manipulative, so wildly desperate, and yet I didn't feel anger anymore. I felt free, because now there was no baby, no more pretending, no more what if. There was only me, and the plan I'd been perfecting. I opened my laptop, clicked on the folder labeled Insurance, and started finalizing my exit. I was done playing along. Now, it was her turn to be blindsided. When Amelia came back 3 days later, she wore grief like a mask, subtle makeup, tired eyes, the soft voice of someone who had endured. She didn't hug me. She just whispered, "I missed you," and went straight to our bedroom. I watched her unpack as if we were moving forward, as if none of it had happened. She slid back into our life like a puzzle piece that didn't quite fit anymore. But I didn't fight it. I welcomed her with a warm dinner, held her while she pretended to cry in her sleep, and whispered soft things like, "We'll get through this," even as my soul screamed. Because this was the final act. Every smile I gave her was rehearsed, every touch calculated. I started selling my things, one box at a time, posted my car for sale, closed out our storage unit, transferred my portion of the lease to a private rental I'd secretly secured weeks earlier. She didn't notice. She was too busy crafting a new storyline. "I think I want to try again soon," she said one night, playing with the edge of her wine glass. "I know it's early, but I just feel like I'm meant to be a mom." I nodded. "We'll see where life takes us." She smiled and reached for my hand. "I'm glad you didn't give up on me." I squeezed her fingers. Me too. Inside, I was ice. I deleted myself from her life piece by piece, canceled joint subscriptions, cleared my personal documents from the shared laptop, rerouted my mail. I even pulled my emergency contacts from her phone's medical ID. The house was full of tension she couldn't feel, like the calm before a fire. Thought we were healing, but I was already gone. The only thing left was the final move, and I was waiting for the perfect day to vanish without a trace. It happened on a Thursday morning. The sky was overcast, the kind that made everything feel heavy and silent. Amelia was still asleep, her breathing soft and steady beside me. I stared at the ceiling for a long time before quietly sliding out of bed. Everything I owned fit into 2 duffel bags and a laptop case. Weeks of preparation had reduced my life into manageable silence. My heart was pounding, not from fear, but from clarity. I left my ring on the nightstand beside her phone. No note, no explanation. Just the symbol of everything she'd twisted into something ugly. Before walking out, I paused in the doorway. The nursery she'd created was still there. The mint green walls, the crib that would never hold a child, the ultrasound printout taped to the fridge like some sick trophy. I took one last look, memorized the scene, and left. By the time she woke up, I was 3 cities away. I'd already closed my accounts, changed my number, and switched jobs to a new branch under a different name. My lawyer filed for separation that same day, citing emotional manipulation and fraud. Every document, every screenshot, every lie, submitted and time-stamped. The first text came hours later. "Where are you? Please, this isn't funny." Then another. "You can't just leave me like this. You owe me an explanation." By nightfall, her messages turned frantic. Dozens of missed calls. Voicemails full of sobs, apologies, and eventually, threats. I didn't respond. Instead, I logged on to social media. She had already posted, "My husband abandoned me after my miscarriage. Please pray for me, but the internet is cruel to liars." Within hours, people began asking questions. Screenshots surfaced. Inconsistencies unraveled. The sympathy turned to suspicion. Then disgust. I didn't need to expose her myself. She was doing it perfectly on her own. Over the next few weeks, I watched the chaos unfold from a distance. Silent. Invisible, but very much present. At first, Amelia doubled down on the victim narrative. More posts, more tears, long captions about abandonment and loss. She shared old couple photos and tagged me in every one, pleading for prayers and sympathy. But the cracks were already showing. Someone noticed the reused stock photo in her ultrasound post. Another pointed out that her baby bump looked suspiciously like a pillow. Then one of her friends, someone I'd quietly kept in contact with, messaged me, "Is any of this real?" I didn't answer directly. I just sent her one PDF. It contained screenshots, transaction records, and a copy of the lawyer's filing. That was enough. Soon, the comments on her posts changed. The hearts became question marks. Then came the backlash. "You faked a pregnancy. Where's the hospital record? Did you lie for money?" She deleted a few comments, then entire posts. But the internet never forgets. People unfollowed her. Brands she once partnered with quietly pulled back. Her sister, who had defended her for months, posted a cryptic story that simply read, "Some lies can't be forgiven." Even her own mother stopped calling me. I think she finally saw it too. And Amelia. She spiraled. She sent long emails, pages of blame, denial, desperate justifications. At one point she wrote, "I only did it because I loved you so much. I needed something to hold on to." That line stuck with me. Because it wasn't love. It was ownership, control, that obsession dressed in romance. And the saddest part? She still couldn't admit what she did, but I didn't need an apology. I didn't want revenge. I had already won, because she was living in the ruins she built for herself. And I was finally, truly free. It's been 8 months since I walked away. I live in a different city now. Smaller, quieter. I rented a modest apartment near the edge of town. Nothing fancy, just enough space to breathe. There's a park down the street where I walk every morning, earbuds in, coffee in hand, letting the silence settle into the spaces Amelia used to fill. Therapy became more than just a legal strategy. It became a lifeline. I've unlearned things I didn't know I'd internalized, like believing someone else's chaos was mine to manage, or that silence in a relationship meant stability, or that love was supposed to come with conditions and fear. My therapist once asked me, "Do you think you were mourning the person or the promise?" And I realized I'd spent 2 years falling in love with an idea. The real Amelia was hidden behind charm, spontaneity, and perfectly timed tears. But the truth, the manipulator, the liar, the illusionist, that truth only showed up when she couldn't control the story anymore. I still get messages from old friends now and then. Some shocked, some apologetic, a few just checking in to say, "Man, I had no idea." I never respond bitterly. I just say, it's in the past, because it is. I don't need her to be publicly ruined. I don't need the internet to hate her. I don't even need an apology anymore. She tried to trap me with a lie, but she ended up setting me free. Not all healing comes with fireworks or final confrontations. Sometimes it comes quietly, in the form of a slow morning, a clean inbox, a rented one-bedroom where peace finally feels normal. I don't miss her. I don't even miss the version of myself that tolerated her. And that, I think, is the real victory. I didn't disappear to hurt her. I disappeared to rediscover me. And I've never felt more alive.